All right. Well, it's 3 o'clock. We're here for the April 22nd Zoning and Land Committee meeting. First order on the agenda is call to order. Roll call.
Okay, roll call. Blake Ellefson,
Here.
Jim Schultz, Gary Eater. Gary, is that you with us online? I'll ask Gary Eater one more time.
It won't let me unmute.
Okay, I hear you now. All right, we'll move on to Pat Kinney.
Here.
And then Paul Wilharm. Does not look like he's here or on Zoom. He was newly appointed to this committee. And I did want to mention here with the agenda, I noticed that it still states Michael Stark as vice chair. I will get that updated.
All right. So we have number 2 on the agenda is public comments. Is there anyone online for public comments or in here? It doesn't look like any public comments. We'll go back to online. Is there anyone online or in the room that would like to make public comments? I know we got to go one more time, so we'll ask. No, oh, we're good then. Okay, we're going to move right on. No public comments today. Approval of the agenda. Dan?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, would it be okay to move other business up to item number 4?
I think it does make sense since we have someone online here to talk about some other business, that we move that number 7 up to allow him to leave. Is there anyone to make a motion?
This is Pat. I'll make a motion to move item 7 up to item 4 and otherwise approve the agenda as presented.
Jim, I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we've got a first and a second. Everyone in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. All right, so the agenda is approved with moving next. Other business.
Okay, so
I'm sorry. We have to do the approval of the minutes first.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll move that. So the approval, I'm sorry, we'll go 4 now. Approval of the minutes. And underneath that is the approval of the zoning and land committee mini from our March 18th meeting.
This is Pat. I'll make a motion to approve.
Jim will second it.
Perfect. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. So now we're going to move. Dan, you want to introduce him?
yeah, so we have an issue that is sort of related to zoning. Bruce is going to have to give a permit for this if action is taken. So we're having a problem at Second Landing with the docks, with the boat launch, and Chris Hoffman from Forestry is here to explain it.
Good afternoon. Thanks for moving me up on the agenda. I'll do my best. This is the first time I've had to deal with a major boat landing issue, so I'm learning as I'm going. Dan contacted me last week and advised me that there was an issue at Second Landing, that it was very shallow and probably unsafe to use. So we looked into the problem. I sent staff up there to look at it. They did some soundings. They came back with some depths. It is most definitely unsafe to use at this point. So we started digging into dredging the bowl of the boat landing at Second Landing. And so we're in the process of working on that. It's going to come with multiple levels of complications. We're going to need a permit from the state, a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers, a permit from Ashland County, from zoning. I'm sure there's some kind of shoreland permit that we're going to need in order to do that work. We also have to find somebody willing to do the work, and we're going to have to figure out some way to fund the work. I dug into the grant process a little bit through the state, and it does not appear that maintenance dredging of a landing is eligible for grant funding. So we're going to have to figure out exactly what it's going to cost and then how we're going to pay for it. The other issue that was identified by staff yesterday when they looked at the landing was once you leave the break wall, once you leave the bowl of the landing and get into the bay proper, it's also very shallow outside of the boat landing. So we're going to have to come up with a plan if and how we're going to address that. That'll probably be a separate permitting process, permitting issue if we choose that we're going to do something once we get outside the boat landing. So I guess that's kind of the down and dirty version of it. I don't know if you guys have any questions. It's kind of where we're at. It's very preliminary. We're just getting started in the process. But Dan figured since you guys were having a meeting today, it'd be a good time to give an initial update to everybody on what's going on.
Chris, is forestry considering closing or partially closing the launch?
I think at this time it would be probably at a minimum we would want to post signage that the landing may not be accessible. It appears you could probably get your boat off a trailer into the bowl of the landing, but you probably couldn't leave the landing. So we will probably be posting signage to that effect sometime yet this week to advise the public that the boat landing is probably not safe for use at this point, either until we get some significant precipitation and or get the process completed to dredge the bowl of the landing. And then what happens outside the landing yet to be determined. So I'm thinking at some point this week, we'll at least put those signs up to advise the public of the risk of using the landing. I hate to see somebody get their boat in there and not be able to get it back.
Sure. Thank you, Chris.
Hey, Chris, this is Erica, the grant writer.
Yep.
Are your people going to be able to kind of draw up that needed kind of set of costs, or should I be trying to look for money to pay for a pre-engineering report before actual dredging even happens? Is this one of those sort of like 1, 2, 3-step processes, or can we just jump straight into actual dredging?
So we have to get the permitting done first.
Okay.
And we have to do a preliminary application to the state so they can review what the project is going to entail and then determine what kind of permitting we're going to have to do. And at that time, I am assuming we will find out whether or not this is going to have to be engineered, if there's going to be, planning costs up front. That application to the state is only 2 pages, and it's basically, describing the project. We're going to meet with a contractor tomorrow on site to look at the boat landing. And so I'm thinking we'll have a better idea of what their process and maybe some general cost estimate after this week, so we can start to work that preliminary meeting request in for the state. My understanding is the state's been swamped with applications for dredging now, because everybody's obviously dealing with this low water situation. So after tomorrow or after this week, hopefully we'll have a better idea of what the process is going to be. And then I'll have a better idea of where we're going to be as far as the next step, if it's going to be engineering or if we can just jump right into dredging. To me, it seems like a pretty simple process. It's a very small area inside of the break wall. So, but not having ever done this before, I don't know if we're going to have to engineer this or what the next step will be in the actual process of the dredging. So
Thank you.
hopefully that made sense.
Well, so I've had a couple constituents come to me and voice their concerns. A person put a boat in and obviously couldn't get anywhere, so they pulled it right back out after trying. This is kind of the lifeblood though out there for fishing and our area for especially local fishermen and people that use the area. And so I would, as someone who uses Second Landing a lot, there's volunteers that are possibly available or local businesses when it comes to funding that have people that would likely donate. There's been people that have offered to go out and dredge it, and I'm like, let's not do that. Let's make sure that, we're following all the obviously permitting and everything, but there are people that have, capabilities that could help us as volunteers if we made it a community type event out there.
Sure. And I have been also in contact and conversations with Matt Erickson of the Highway Department to try to, if there's a way that Highway could help us resolve some of these issues as well. So lots of irons in the fire trying to figure out exactly how to handle the situation. But obviously right now the bottleneck is going to be the permitting process. We spoke to Nelson Construction this morning about doing the project, and they didn't have a whole lot of interest, and they led us to believe that getting a permit is going to be very difficult, that it's become more difficult the last 5 or 6 years for dredging projects, and that there's projects that have gone unanswered for a significant period of time on the permitting side of things. I'm hoping that we've got a better relationship with water regs than that, so at least we can get answers sooner. But again, this is the first time I've ever tried to permit a project like this, so I've got a lot to learn yet too.
Okay.
I got a question. Hey, Chris, this is Bruce. Do you know, has anyone checked the other county landing there behind Anglers All? Is it the same situation?
The Anglers All landing is a worse situation. It's a much flatter piece of water, much shallower piece of water in general. So I don't know what the answer would be there. From what we can tell there, dredging inside that little break wall that we've got there would probably have the same effect as dredging inside the bowl at Second Landing right now. It would allow you to float your boat, but I don't know that you could get outside of the general area of the boathouses. The water is very shallow there as well.
Yeah, I know Washburn is having a similar problem too. And I think other parts of northern Bayfield County, like Port Wing, are having the problem.
The islands are really down too. So there's a lot of people that are asking if they can dredge along their houses and stuff. So yeah, this is a big issue for our lake right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Mr. Wilhelm might have just gotten onto the meeting. Okay.
Chris, again, this is Bruce from zoning. What little I have been involved in any of these things on the island, before the county can give any permit, we have to see something from the Corps of Engineers first.
Sure, absolutely. I understand. Yep.
And then as far as if all the work is done in the water, it's all DNR jurisdiction. But if the soil is going to be brought back and put like in a field somewhere, then you'd have to get a county permit. But if everything stayed in the water, the county doesn't even have to give a permit. That's
Okay.
all DNR.
Okay, that's very good to know. That could possibly be one less step for us then.
Yep.
And I don't know, the contractor that we're meeting with tomorrow is an outfit called Pearl Beach. I don't know what their process is for doing this. Matt Erickson offered the sand pit down by High Bridge as a place to deposit the dredge materials if that's the route we have to go. But I don't know what Pearl Beach's operation looks like yet, so should have a better idea after tomorrow as far as that goes.
Well, as much as I don't want rain for Little League, we need it for you.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely, it would help. We still would need to dredge the landing, even if we could get water levels back to a somewhat normal level. I think it would be, in our best interest to go ahead and get the process completed and get the landing dredged. But having more water would solve the problem once you left the landing then too. So yeah, a little rain dance wouldn't be the worst.
All right. Well, now that we've done other business, I guess we can move along to zoning, discussion and action items. Issued permits, revenue account for March 2025. I'm sorry, Pat.
You had mentioned asking for a permit. We didn't have a discussion of that. Did you just want us to have this discussion, or is there something else you were looking for?
No, I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of what was going on because this might be time sensitive. And, you know, if there's a county permit to issue, I mean, it's relevant to this committee. So this is information only until we know more.
Okay. And then the city, I think, is doing that intake pipe this summer. And if I'm not mistaken, they're bringing the pipe by barge into that coal dock, kind of where Lakeview Dental is. They used to be deep enough to bring in a coal ship. But I don't know if they've got barges to bring that in, if everything happened fast and timing worked out. You know, it might tie into somebody being able to dredge as long as they got barges here for that. But it might be Nelson's, you know, just coming across the lake too.
Okay. So zoning, you're up, or you're up, somebody.
Go ahead, Krish.
Okay, I have attached in the packet. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, sorry. Attached in the packet is March of 2025's issued permits and revenue account. And in front of you, I have also added March of 24, 23, and 22, just for comparison. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns.
I see the Ashland County Fair got in there. What'd we do there?
Was that the rabbit barn?
Yep, they redone the barn.
All right, all right. Just want to make sure. Or they're gonna probably ask us for more money this year, the way they're going, so.
Okay, and then if there's any questions on that or not, go ahead. But otherwise, I was gonna say, one other thing there with our audit, we did get our state audit for 2024. And yeah, everything went good with that. So they said they were happy with the way we were running the zoning office.
All right, so thank you. Moving along now, we're to land description. Discussion action items. A, property subject to tax deed.
All right, so in our tax deed notice list, I kept our properties highlighted that are eligible for foreclosure. The yellow ones are eligible for foreclosure, and then the green highlighted ones were the ones, I guess, that I'm recommending to foreclose on.
So just a question.
Mhm.
The yellow ones, we're not to that point, right? These
Nope.
green ones were to the point. We've done everything.
So anything highlighted is to the point that we can foreclose. The green ones are just the ones that I would recommend for sure that we foreclose on.
And so today, after going through this list, there's 3 that you're recommending we approve for foreclosure.
Yeah. So I guess I went a little conservative because I'm not completely sure yet what the criteria are for recommending for foreclosure is. But these are ones for sure. We can also vote to do the yellow ones as well.
I think I like your conservative start. Start it with ones that are Now, are we, and this is for my own learning experience since I'm new to this, are we gonna go through the ones that were on here? Or do we just blanketly,
We can't really mention names and addresses because,
I removed all the addresses from the spreadsheet.
so here's one
well,
question.
YouTube has a thing about privacy.
And,
that pro-
and I know that, not saying names, but like, so the first
I-
one, assessed value is 69,300.
Yep.
The amount of back taxes is far, far lower.
Yes,
So
but
when-
it's from 21, right?
Well, but we're going to take and sell that piece of property after foreclosure,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna sell it for as much as we can and give them the, because we can't as a county have the takings.
Right. We'd have to give the owner any excess proceeds.
Okay. And so I just want to make sure that that's,
Yeah, we're acting as real estate agent for them.
and we're not gonna have a realtor, or we are.
The statute says that we just have to do a type 1 notice in the paper.
Okay.
I think we also have to publish on the MLS,
On our website.
on the MLS.
I think it's either a type 1 notice and publish on our website auction, or you have to do it the MLS. It's one or the other. So
Okay.
like the second 2 green ones, I already know that those will be sold immediately and who the buyer is.
Hold on. Before we go to sell.
Yeah.
Here we are at the part where we're approving 3 properties for us to foreclose on. So I think we need to do that first, which then kicks off her ability to sell.
Right.
Okay. And here we passed at the last board meeting, the ability for us to actually make this recommendation to foreclose and take it up in action. So now the board's approved this ordinance or this ability, and so here we are. And so is there anyone here that would like to discuss before we, Pat?
My understanding is we were going to work with a Realtor as a county. That was our choice.
We can. That's one of our options, yes.
I'll also have to double check our ordinance because I thought it was listed in there, but I could be mistaken.
But as a committee, my understanding from those conversations is that was the path that we were going to pursue. As
That
a
was-
choice,
That was also my understanding.
as a choice, we were going to hire a Realtor to do this for various reasons, one of which is for legal reasons, not getting ourselves in a pickle because we have nothing to gain other than recouping our costs. So why take a risk? And then added time for staff.
I think the question then becomes, if you've got a buyer that's willing to pay what you already are gonna sell it for market price, then what is the point of having that realtor involved to pay them, 6% of the purchase sale? That's the question that I guess I'm asking, and I'm not saying that we should, if it's in the ordinance, we should list, if that's what we're saying we're doing. But if Dan's saying that there's properties where the buyer's identified up front, again, Pat,
Well, before I got on the board, I heard stories about, and this goes back to my younger days in Bayfield County too, when properties were taken or going to be taken by a county, certain people were aware of it and ended up with the properties before the public in general knew. That created some, not only hard feelings, but at times some real issues. So by putting it on the MLS, everybody has the same information. But there's also the possibility that maybe somebody counters and it goes for more than what it's initially listed for. Somebody could go higher, which would benefit the person who owns the property prior to it being taken. But we just want to stay out of it, is my understanding.
Well, the biggest advantage of using a Realtor is that this committee doesn't have to set a value for the property, and you take away any liability saying that we didn't sell it for enough. So that's the biggest advantage of a Realtor in the MLS. And you have to be a member of the National Realtors Association to use the MLS.
okay. And I think that's what we talked about originally, is that we were gonna use a realtor, and so it's all fine. Is there anyone that has questions about the list of properties here before we move on. When's the last time Ashland County did this?
Did foreclosure?
Yeah.
2023.
That's when the court decision came down.
Pat?
So you ready for a motion?
I am ready. I'm waiting. I don't want to
All
urge
right,
you too
this-
hard.
This is Pat. I'll make a motion that the county take parcel numbers 101-00744-0000, parcel number 022-01190-0100, parcel number 022-01516-0500.
Is Jim, I'll second Pat's motion.
You're not going to repeat it. No, just kidding. All right, all right. We've got a motion and a second. Is there any, well, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So those are the three. So now we're moving to review of county-owned property, which is a separate list. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you guys asked me for a list of county-owned property, so here's that list. This is property that we own, that we acquired through delinquent tax foreclosure. I assume this was put on so that we could discuss selling them.
We're actually required to sell them.
I'm sorry?
The Act 209 requires us to sell them.
Yeah, I know that. That's why I'm presenting this list.
I'm like for the committees, so they know that we're required to sell these. So I would
I
ask,
do have a question though. Are we required to sell the private roads, like the right of ways that we have acquired?
right away, sorry for the record, right of ways, no. But actual property, yes.
Okay, so there's two listed in the middle here. They're both in bold at the bottom of the description, say private road. So,
My sense in going through this is there's very little value in these.
most of them, yes.
So when you go to tell that we have to sell them, do you mean like give them away?
No, just whatever realtor we hire for the other ones, just have them sell these too.
I'm-
Hey, we have to sell them and we have to do something with it.
So, I don't know, a decade ago, when the city was selling some parcels, the whole issue of right-of-ways came up, which turned into an interesting discussion because some people were like, I'm not buying that property and maintaining it if somebody else has a right-of-way. Because what good is that to me if someday, such and such company wants to put a power line, gas line, whatever through there? And so that turned into an issue because, you buy the parcel, pay the taxes, and then someone else has a right-of-way use for it, depending on what that use is. It turned out some of the parcels, both landowners adjacent said, let's not buy it. Let the city, they can keep it. We won't pay taxes. They'll be responsible for mowing instead of us. We don't want the city telling us our grass is too tall. And then if there is a utility through there, then nobody's going to build there anyway. So that turned into an issue. My personal feeling is, unless we have a reason to keep the right-of-way, I mean, as someone that owns property, I would much rather have the right-of-way than not have it. And I have mineral rights too, and I'd much rather have those than not have them. So unless we have a compelling reason to keep a right-of-way, I would rather sell it. Or if the city wants it, sometime, if it's within the city limits and the city has a reason that they want it, I'm fine with them acquiring it and getting it off our list.
Okay, so are you prepared to try to sell all these? Are we ready to meet with a realtor and do that, list them? Or is that,
I mean, if we have to sell them, so I'm going to have to be ready.
so then I guess, for the next meeting, I think maybe realistically looking at ones that are saleable and having those isolated to the top, focusing on the ones that are the biggest, because there's one on here that's got a value of 92,700 assessed value. Now
Yeah,
that's,
there's a couple homes on here.
so if we can sell those are the biggest material movers, and then the right of way stuff, those are gonna be individualized where you're gonna have to almost go to the landowner that's adjacent to it and try to reach out to them and say, hey, look what we got. We got your, and then they'll be like what you just said. Well, we don't want to buy it because then we got to mow it. And you're like, well, we don't.
Well, so the right of ways, when I say right of ways, there's two parcels, one in the town of Jacobs, one in the town of LaPointe that are private road right of ways. They're nothing like in the city right of way. They're just developed roads that were for some reason owned privately that they stopped paying taxes on and now we own. So
Are they worth anything to anyone?
I have no idea.
Well, that's what
I
we
mean,
have to flesh out is we got to figure out which ones are valuable so we can sell them.
Right. I mean, yeah. I don't know who's gonna buy a road because then they have to maintain it, but I'm pretty sure years ago I contacted the town of LaPointe on this LaPointe private road and they were totally uninterested because they didn't want to maintain it. So, but is for the rest of these properties, are we okay to go ahead and sell them, I guess?
I think the answer today is a resounding 100% yes.
Okay.
Let's sell them like
So am I
hotcakes.
getting a realtor for this or are we selling them on our website? I guess I'm still a little confused on that.
So this is the first time we're doing it in a long time. Let's get a realtor. So that way we get an accurate price on the properties and nobody can come back at us.
So like a decade ago in the city, when we were trying to come up with money was sell these odds and ends. Part of that conversation was if the realtor got the good stuff to sell, meaning they could make some money without too much work, they had to be willing to deal with the rest of it. And so whoever the county hires, both for those three properties we voted to take and the more desirable ones on this list, the city looked at it as a package deal. You take on the whole thing. And yes, some of these are going to spend some time, but most of the people interested in these odd little things are the adjacent landowners. There's in all likelihood, nobody else going to buy the odd ones. So it was a matter of going to the adjacent landowners and saying, are you interested? But even that road thing, all things being equal, if somebody wants their peace and quiet, and knowing that there's not going to be, something in use there, that's still worth something to people that want their elbow room and peace and quiet. So
It's happening right now within the city where the city started to identify properties that they own that they're now going to to the adjacent owner and selling those. That's what the city's finally realized. Hey, what are we doing here? We shouldn't own these lots. And I think that's now what we're saying is let's get rid of these lots if we can, put them on the tax roll. I don't think we really need to approve anything today for that. Do you want an approval?
Yes,
You want an approval?
yes.
Okay, well, let's make that. All right, Pat.
This Pat will make a
Per our
motion.
ordinance,
Pardon?
that I can sell them per our ordinance.
Oh, this is Pat. I'll make a motion that the county sell the county-owned properties per our zoning ordinance.
I'll second Pat's motion as Jim.
Great, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nope. All right, motion passes. Great. Thank you. Well, is there any other business except for the other business that we already went over? So we're good there. Next meeting. Now, I know we talked about doing these every other month, but we had to do this one to get this stuff done. I guess the only person I think that might want us to have a meeting would maybe be Jen, but it's up to you.
It's usually me that wants a meeting.
Well, no, but you've got a lot of stuff
I'm
that you're
just, I'm
doing.
just teasing. Yeah, 2 months is fine.
So if we look 2 months out, we're already in June. Oh, man. That's a long ways away. Shoot a date, pick a date. You got the calendar up. I've got nothing.
I could tell you June 5th is no good for you and I, Blake.
Okay, so then let's do June 12th or 10th.
What, the 14th?
A Saturday?
Oh, let's clean sweep. I thought it'd apparently not then. Two birds with one stone.
I can't do Saturday. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that.
Have we decided between morning meetings or early afternoon? That would affect my schedule.
What would you prefer?
It all depends. I work in 2 departments, and so I'm just, Tuesday afternoons have been working good.
Let's do Tuesday, June 10th.
You don't need me for these meetings.
At 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock? I know you want 7 o'clock, but for
Rainy days. But whatever works for the rest of you, it's, you know,
he's okay. Mr. Schultz? He's good. We're all good. Let's do it. The 10th at 3.
are you? No, but I mean, we don't know what'll be on the agenda.
Do you think we should have
I
Dan?
mean, I
there?
guess as long as you talk to the chair in advance, if there's anything you want to make sure he's clear on,
Yeah,
that we should be okay.
yeah, and the chair can always cancel the meeting if there's nothing.
Well, and to be honest, the fact of the matter is this dredging could require us maybe to have something immediately, but it's not us that, do we have?
Really be forestry
Okay.
You know, my sense,
and then finance.
by the time you get the permits, the lake may be back up. I'm not kidding either.
Yeah.
That's not what the people want to hear. Okay, so we're set on the 10th in June, 3 o'clock. Perfect. And the last bit of order,
This is Pat will make a motion to adjourn.
Jim, I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Good meeting. Thank you.